If you're working in an agile space or a leadership space, you need to be consistently growing and pushing yourself. There are 5 questions you should be asking yourself every day. That's this week on the Badass Agile podcast. Greetings, team. Welcome to the Badass Agile podcast. I'm your host, Chris Williams. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining. It's great to have you here. I've found that success of any kind requires constant examination. Agile, specifically, is a sort of tool. It's a set of guiding principles and sometimes structured actions that are designed to bring about a consistent positive result. But the difficulty is, and we talk about this a lot, is that the one thing that's actually required for Agile to work well is the one thing that's never modeled or enforced in its principles or frameworks. Courage, awareness, humility. These are the skills that add up to the spirit of the word Agile itself, true flexibility and fluidity in execution. So how do you get more of these? Well, first, let's take a moment to remember why we're here. To create an elite tribe of leaders who truly serve their clients and communities by doing what matters and what works, relentlessly chasing value and excellence like a badass. There's so many resources out there about what you need to do to be agile, but we're focused on who you need to become in order to lead teams. So let's hammer down those fundamentals to create a truly unique and powerful force in this industry. If you love this show, tell your friends. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. Don't forget to jump in on the Badass Agile Listener Lounge on Facebook. Whether you're a coach, a scrum master, an entrepreneur, or just a member of a team, there are 5 questions you can ask yourself every day that will help you on your path to greater success, greater fulfillment, and better results. Never underestimate the value of great questions. Great questions work because we know we're going to have to answer them at the end of each day. So knowing that we're going to have to answer them influences and directs our behavior. We don't want to show up to our own private retrospective empty-handed. So let's get right to it. What are the 5 questions? I think if you're only going to adopt one of these, this is the one that makes the most sense. This is the question that brings about the greatest result in the shortest time. Here's a question. How did I lean into my fear zone today, beating my internal quitter and playing all out? The purpose of this question is to encourage us to identify and come to terms with the things that we fear. Until we can admit that the reason why we don't get on the treadmill every day is because we fear the physical pain of hard work, nothing will change. There are some things in life that just suck. In fact, one could argue that your challenges are tailor-made for you. The things that slow you down or trip you up may not be the things that slow down or trip up anyone around you, but that serves as a flashing red light that there's something you need to work on in order to survive and thrive in all areas of your life. So this one forces us to be honest about what we fear. Most importantly, what we avoid because of that fear. What is it for you? Difficult conversations? Public speaking? Applying for a new job or maybe interview situations? Taking on networking opportunities? Bringing your idea to the team room? It could be more personal stuff like handling your finances. Moving to a new city where there might be more opportunities. What is it that you fear? The body is such a great excuse-making and pain avoidance machine that any of us can go a really long time in the wrong direction, avoiding what must be done, avoiding what would be good for us, simply because we don't like feeling the feeling. So, this question forces you to take a hard look. You're going to have to start analyzing. What you consistently avoid might be hidden from you. But if you're really honest, did you make excuses today and quit? Or did you beat that internal quitter, go out 100%, put all of your faith in yourself, and go for it? Ask for the job. Present your idea. Lead a conversation. Say what you mean. Be direct. Step outside your comfort zone and start your own business. Whatever it might be, prompt yourself each day to put at least one foot into the unknown, into the scary. Live in that fear zone just for a little while, just long enough that you can show yourself that it isn't that bad, that you can do it, that you can live in that fear zone for just a little while every day, and nothing bad happens. Nobody dies. I think that one's hugely powerful. But let's move on to the next one. What failed and how did you invert it? So this again is about awareness, but it's also about humility. We need to learn to be okay with the word failure. Otherwise, how are you going to teach that to other people? The only way to be okay with failure is to identify those things that didn't go the way we hoped they would. In the beginning, when you first start practicing this, you might feel like we're constantly calling attention to or digging a nail into the things that scare us or make us feel shame or embarrassment, but over time, you get better at solving the big failures quickly so that this daily question simply becomes a way to tweak and perfect. The part of the question that asks you, how did you invert it, forces us to think about what positive outcomes came out of this failure, and it could be something small. A failed negotiation might have made us realize that we need to amp up our negotiation skills a bit more. Or maybe we simply noticed the moment in the conversation when we were making ground and then we lost it. Maybe that's progress for you. Finding the good news in bad situations is an extremely healthy habit. It doesn't mean you dismiss the failure or gloss over it, but we can be grateful that it happened for what it showed us or taught us. So it's as simple as asking, what went wrong today? And then saying, that's awesome. Here's what I got out of it. The next question, how did I empty my cup today? Smashing a belief or habit. This question is all about what we could let go of. How many times do our preconceived notions, lessons learned, or inherited belief systems trip us up? What do we believe for sure won't work? What do we believe for sure about the people around us? What are some of the things that we accept as possible? What are some of the things that we accept as impossible? So what would happen if we were willing and prepared to be humble and smash those beliefs every day? Could this make it easier to listen to differing viewpoints? Would this make us more attentive to the opinions and views of those around us, especially those that we might not agree with? Could we get out of our own heads for just a little while, get out of our own arrogance long enough to open up some new pathways and solutions that weren't there yesterday? Emptying your cup means beginning each day anew by letting go of what you think you know, what you've learned, and what you believe to be true, what you believe to be right, what you believe to be wrong. A common example is, what do I think are the right ways versus the wrong ways to do Agile, or to do anything for that matter? If you have those ingrained beliefs in your head, they're going to prevent you from seeing new opportunities, new methods, and you might just miss out on opportunities to improve. Here's the next question. What did I learn today? Well, this one's obvious. Our days are generally full of learning, and yet, so many of us hear the same lessons over and over, don't we? And then we fail to act on the new wisdom. Could that be you? You see, sometimes we're just not ready for the lesson. Sometimes we don't like what the lesson says about us. That makes it hard to accept and integrate. Now, sometimes we already know full well how to believe, how to behave, but we do the opposite simply because it's more comfortable for us. So each day, if you write down what lesson you learn, you allow at least the opportunity for that lesson to penetrate, to get down at soul level. And by reflecting on it each day, we're making sure that we're not glossing over information that is important and crucial to our success. But furthermore, by doing this daily reflection, we might notice some patterns emerging. Are there lessons that we learn every day that we seem to be ignoring or failing to incorporate? Mistakes that you make over and over again? Things that you mean to do or try that you never quite get around to? That's the informative stuff. The last question you can ask yourself every day is more of an optimization question. What could I MVP? Where could I apply the 80-20 rule and try to get more out of less? Now, this one's useful because even if you have a technique, a system, or a ritual locked down, there's a chance that it might not be very efficient. I've been guilty of this. I spend way too much time in the morning, journals, prepping, goal setting, trying to find my creative muse in the morning. It's a ton of fun. I always enjoy doing it, but it's also a very expensive practice, especially if it's not bearing any fruit. So one technique that I've learned in order to optimize my rituals and therefore optimize my days is that when I have a massive amount of content to produce, I'll start to procrastinate. I'll get overwhelmed. So instead of feeling like I have to type it out or handwrite it, I'll find a way to optimize it like dictating it. Other times it's a function of just doing the hardest thing first. There's one thing that I put on my list every day that I'll consistently avoid or deflect. But if I force myself to do it first with no excuses, it gets done more often and more easily. That you could easily customize this list of 5 questions. Certainly there will be questions that you find revealing and inspiring, and I encourage you to use whatever works for you. These are simply suggestions of the kinds of accountability we must take for different areas of our lives, what we learn, what we fail at, what we optimize, and how we approach fear, challenge, and difficulty. These are crucial to our advancement in life. So use whatever form of question forces you to face those shortcomings and demons. Now here's a bonus tip for you. If you'd really like to magnify the impact of this practice, try asking these questions with an accountability partner. For the longest time, I recorded my answers to these questions as a daily podcast. It was a podcast that never got released, but the mere practice of exercising this muscle really helped transform my life, and I hope it does for you too. Friends, thank you once again for tuning in. You can find me, as always, at badassagile.com, on Twitter at badass_agile, and on Instagram at badassagile. Don't forget to check out some of my products like the Forge and the Forge Professional. I look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, stay badass.